Welcome to Formula News USA. The 2026 Formula One era is officially here, and what we're seeing isn't just a rule change, it's a total technical reset that's about to blow the field wide open. In today's video, we're going deep under the hood of the new 2026 power units, breaking down why these cars are suddenly smaller and more active, and analyzing the first track runs of the Mercedes W17, Alpine's new Mercedes-powered Challenger, and of course, the start of Lewis Hamilton's legendary journey with Ferrari in the SF-26. There's a ton of ground to cover in this new chapter of the sport, so buckle up. The 2026 grid is already at full throttle. After 12 years of the same old hybrid rules, F1 decided it was time to tear up the script. The headline for 2026 is massive electrification. The FIA is pushing a 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and electric power. But let's be real, the IC is still the heart of the beast, doing the heavy lifting over a full lap. But what does this mean for the drivers? Everything. The MGU-K, which recovers energy under braking, has jumped from 120 to a staggering 350 kilowatts. We're talking about nearly triple the electric punch at the driver's disposal. To make this happen, the FIA killed off the MGU-H, that insanely expensive and complex piece that recovered heat from the turbo. Without it, engineers had to make the MGU-K way more efficient. Plus, we're seeing the debut of 100% sustainable fuels. This is a game changer. Having giants like Shell, Petronas, and Aramco racing to deliver high-performance fuel that doesn't rely on fossils shows just how much track tech is going to influence the cars you'll be driving on the road in a few years. While the engine's got a makeover, the chassis followed suit with this nimble car concept. For years, fans complained that these cars were like boats, heavy, wide, and impossible to wheel in tight spots like Monaco. The fix is here. 2026 cars are 66 pounds lighter, bringing the minimum weight down to 1,700 pounds. They've shrunk too. The wheelbase is shorter and the overall width has been trimmed down. In short, these cars should be way more flickable. The front wing is narrower, and the rear wing lost that lower beam wing element. But the real star of the show is active aero. Forget DRS as you know it. Now the whole car transforms. Drivers have two main modes, corner mode for high downforce, and straight mode, where the front and rear flaps move to kill drag and unlock insane top speeds. The FIA's promise is that these cars will let drivers tuck in behind each other much closer, keeping 90% of their downforce even when they're just 2 car lengths back. If that holds up on race day, we're in for a brand new show. We're standing at the edge of a transformation that's going to test even the best on the grid. Just imagine the mental load of managing that much electric deployment while toggling active aero settings every single lap. It's exactly because we're in this historic moment that having you here is so important. Formula News USA was built to be your go-to source for the nitty-gritty of the paddock. When you subscribe to this channel, you aren't just getting headlines, you're getting the engineering and the politics behind every millisecond. We dig deep so you have the best takes when you're talking F1 with your friends. So if you appreciate content that goes beyond the surface, hit that like button right now and subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm recognize that our work is top tier and keeps us bringing you these deep dive analyses. And I've got to know, where are you watching this new era of F1 from? What city are you tuning in from today? Let us know in the comments. Your engagement is the engine that keeps Formula News USA running.
But it's not all clean tech and sunshine in this new era. The F1 paddock is already on fire over a technical loophole that could decide who dominates for years to come. The FIA recently called an emergency meeting with the technical directors to discuss a potential glitch in the 2026 engine rules. Word is that Mercedes and Red Bull, who are now running their own engines with Ford, found a way to game the compression ratio rules. The limit is 16:1, but that's only measured at ambient temperature. Paddock insiders are whispering that these two manufacturers built smart designs that let that ratio spike when the engine is running hot, delivering a performance boost that the rivals didn't see coming. Ferrari, Audi, and Honda have already gone to the FIA demanding answers. What does this mean in plain English? It means Mercedes might be starting this cycle with a few tenths of an advantage just from the engine alone. Even though the meeting set a path for measuring this in the future, changing the rules now is a political nightmare because Mercedes power units run in 4 different teams. For now, if they've got an edge, it's staying on the car. Speaking of the track, Mercedes didn't waste any time showing that the W17 is the real deal. While some teams are still struggling to get their cars out of the garage, the Silver Arrows pulled off a massive shakedown at Silverstone. George Russell and Kimi Antonelli maxed out the 200-kilometer limit on day one. That is a massive red flag for the rest of the grid. When a brand new car and engine work straight out of the box without a single hitch, it means your simulation game is on another level. To give you some context, Audi, making their big factory debut, only managed about a quarter of that distance. Cadillac, using Ferrari power, didn't even come close to using their full mileage. Legendary analyst Gary Anderson took a long look at the W17, and the verdict is scary for the competition. This car has ditched the diva tendencies of the previous ground effect era. Visually, it's much cleaner. They stuck with a pushrod front suspension, which shows they chose to perfect what they knew instead of reinventing the wheel in a year with so many other variables. One cool detail is the 3-element front wing that's now detached from the nose. This lets air flow under the car much more freely, boosting that crucial front-end downforce. Another standout on the W17 is the high radiator inlets, allowing for a massive undercut on the side pods. This helps channel the air coming off the front wing and tires straight to the back of the car where it belongs. And watch out for this, barge boards are basically back. They're smaller versions of those complex aero bits we saw before 2022, designed to seal the floor edges. Mercedes has done a ton of work here to manage the tire wake, which is going to be huge for cornering speed. At the back, Mercedes kept an anti-lift suspension setup. It's an interesting choice because in the past it made the car feel a bit numb to the driver. But with the electric recovery now being handled almost entirely by the rear axle, the loads under braking have completely shifted. George Russell and the rookie Antonelli are going to have their hands full taming that electric torque. Rumor has it the Mercedes power unit is an absolute rocket ship. With McLaren, Williams, and Alpine all running this engine, we could see a grid dominated by the Silver Arrows. Lando Norris, entering 2026 as the reigning world champion after ending Max Verstappen's 4-title run, is definitely keeping a close eye on that performance as he prepares to defend his crown. But what about Ferrari? While Mercedes was stacking up miles, the Scuderia was setting the stage at Fiorano for the most anticipated moment of the decade. Lewis Hamilton in the red suit, strapping into the SF-26 for the first time. The hype of seeing Hamilton and Leclerc sharing a garage is something F1 hasn't seen in ages. But before we get into Lewis's first laps and the scare that happened during the shakedown, we have to talk about Alpine. They've officially become a customer team, ditching Renault engines to join the Mercedes camp. The 2026 chess match is just starting, and every move could be the difference between a podium and a DNF.
Alpine is another team that decided to throw out the old playbook and start from scratch, but with a twist that definitely stings French pride. They're now a customer team. They launched the A526 with a lot of flash on a cruise ship in Barcelona, but the real story is under the engine cover. After years of struggling with the Renault power unit, the Enstone squad realized that to get off the back of the grid, where they finished 2025 as the best-worst team in history, they needed German engineering. Now powered by Mercedes, Alpine is hoping the chassis they've been working on since last January finally gives Pierre Gasly the car he deserves. Technical director David Sanchez was blunt. They sacrificed 2025 to go all in on 2026. We're already seeing that pay off. During their shakedown at Silverstone, the A526 put in 140 kilometers in some pretty nasty, dark, and wet conditions. What's wild is how different their packaging is compared to the Mercedes factory team. Even as a customer, Alpine is trying to carve out its own aero philosophy, now that they don't have to worry about building the engine. With Flavio Briatore back in the mix and new leadership, the goal is to jump into the front of the pack. But will being a customer be enough to beat the factory giants? Speaking of giants, Ferrari basically shut down Italy to reveal the SF-26. This car is a total rethink, according to the team. They've ditched the matte paint they used for 7 years and went back to a glorious gloss red with white accents, a direct nod to Niki Lauda and the legendary 312T from the 70s. But it's not just a pretty face. Underneath, Ferrari switched to pushrod suspension at both ends. For the record, Ferrari hasn't used a rear pushrod setup since 2011. This move was all about giving them more room to develop the car during the season and cleaning up the air at the back. Team boss Fred Vasseur took a gamble last year by stopping development on the 2025 car early, which saw Ferrari slip to 4th in the standings. But here's the kicker. Because they finished 4th, they got way more wind tunnel time in CFD simulation hours than McLaren, Mercedes, or Red Bull. In modern F1, that aero testing time is worth way more than the prize money they missed out on. Ferrari is betting that this development bonus will give Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc a car that can fight for the title from lights out in Australia. Hamilton's debut in the SF-26 at Fiorano didn't go off with a minor heart attack for the Tifosi though. Since Fiorano is surrounded by public roads, the fans and the press were hanging over the fences. Suddenly, video leaked of Hamilton stopping the car on the main straight and being pushed back by mechanics. The internet lost its mind. Did the new engine blow up already? But the truth was way less dramatic. Ferrari was running a demonstration event, which the FIA limits to just 15 kilometers. That's exactly 5 laps around Fiorano. Hamilton did an outlap, a filming lap behind the camera car, and a practice start. When the car stopped, it wasn't a failure. They just ran out of legal miles. Ferrari had to save the remaining laps so Charles Leclerc could get his turn in the car. It just goes to show how high the tension is right now. Any puff of smoke or unexpected stop is world news. The SF-26 looks like a solid concept, and according to technical director Leclerc, they focused on functional simplicity to make sure they can upgrade the car fast once the real data starts rolling in. What we're seeing is a much more focused Ferrari. They know they have the most explosive driver lineup on the grid, with the raw speed of Leclerc and the GOAT-level experience of Hamilton. While the SF-26 showed off its clean lines and that serrated engine cover that helps stabilize the air, the rest of the F1 world is starting to realize that 2026 is going to be one on efficiency. And Ferrari, with an engine that already sounds like a beast on the dyno, looks like they've done the homework to keep Mercedes from disappearing into the distance.
While Ferrari was fine-tuning the SF-26, another American-sized piece of the puzzle started moving. Cadillac. That's right, the new team on the block, featuring Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas, is running Ferrari power. Why does that matter? Because the data Cadillac gathered in their early tests helped Ferrari refine their engine maps before the factory car even touched the asphalt. This technical alliance is a huge ace of the Scuderia sleeve to try and take down Mercedes. Checo Perez, now in a new home after his long run with Red Bull, brings a ton of experience that could fast-track this Italian-American partnership. So what can we expect from this new Ferrari heart? Insider reports say the focus was 100% on the MGU-K's torque delivery. With the MGU-H gone, Ferrari completely redesigned the energy recovery to make sure Hamilton and Leclerc don't run out of juice at the end of the straights, what we call clipping. They're aiming to be the most efficient car on the grid with those new sustainable fuels. If Mercedes has the rocket, Ferrari is betting on a balanced car that treats its tires better with that new suspension geometry. Don't count out the dark horses either. Lando Norris, the man with the number 1 on his car, has the massive job of defending his title with a McLaren that's also packing Mercedes power. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen, the 4-time champ, is leading Red Bull into the unknown with their first ever Red Bull Ford engines. It's a massive shift for everyone. Even Carlos Sainz at Williams is in the mix with a Mercedes engine, which could put that legendary team back near the top. The hierarchy has been completely scrambled. With smaller cars and active aero, a driver's skill in managing those steering wheel toggles is going to be just as important as having a heavy right foot. The jump to 2026 is the biggest technical challenge we've seen in decades. With a 30% drop in downforce and a 55% shift in drag, these cars are going to be darty and difficult to drive. The pilots are basically going to have to learn how to drive all over again. That's why staying locked in here at Formula News USA is so crucial. Technical info is the new gold in this sport. If you've made it this far, you're a real fan who wants to know what's happening behind the scenes, not just on the podium. Your subscription is what keeps us going and allows us to produce this level of independent deep dive analysis. Formula News USA is built for those of us who live and breathe racing. By subscribing and hitting that notification bell, you're making sure you don't miss a single update on these new engines, or the upgrades teams are bringing to official testing in Barcelona and Bahrain. We want this to be the most informed F1 community in the States. Thanks to everyone for watching and jumping in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, it really helps the channel gain traction. Check out the end screens for 2 more videos that'll help you wrap your head around this 2026 revolution. We'll see you in the next video. Have a great one.